This is it, the final weekend of GRD Break. The last few weeks of the Slam style event for Under Night Inburst 2 all led up to these decisive 2 days, which determined who would advance to Grand Finals at Combo Breaker. After being unsuccessful in securing a bye during the group stage, my team, Team Rockhawk, would need Saturday's seeding stage to do so. We wanted the best position possible for the final bracket happening the next day. With Zero Syndicate in Tier 4 very quickly improving with Akatsuki, Tier 2's Made in Heaven embracing the new way of the spider by the day, and Hunter Faye at Tier 1 also spinning winning webs on Byakuya, I needed to pull my weight in Tier 3 with Izumi. From starting as a bottom feeder, I had played over 100 hours, studied intensely, and did everything I could to improve and help my team get to Chicago next month. I had gotten all the way to S rank and even won a beginner tournament as well as my local the day before seeding stage. So this minnow had some momentum going into the weekend, and it was time to see if we could take it all the way. The way seeding stage would proceed was with a Swiss bracket format. In short, we would play 5 sets paired with teams who had records similar to ours as each round went. The 2 teams with the best record would get the final top seeds for the next day's final bracket. This, of course, meant that we didn't know who we would be facing until matchmaking occurred after each round. The only matchup we knew we would play headed into the weekend was our first opponent, Team Just Evan. Their Tier 3 opponent was another Izumi player in Scam Likely. I had played against them a few times over the past few weeks and lost every one, but each game felt closer than the last. I was incredibly determined to make sure I would finally get the better of him in the mirror and be the bigger fish in the pond. I'd gone over the matchup with Hunter, who gave me a vote of confidence that I could win it this time around. However, Scam opened the set with a perfect against me, and my confidence in myself began to waver. I fought back in the next round to even things up, but there were still many signs that I felt unsure of myself. The way that Scam played exuded self-assurance that whatever he's going to do will work, and that's exactly what happened in the final round. Being down already was not a great feeling, but I found a way to rally in game 2 by capitalizing on early advantages. The 2 Izumis now shared a victory and an even count, but the scales of confidence were still tipping in Scam's favor. As evidence, round 1 of game 3 featured me jumping out to a large lead. However, lacking trust in my own decision making resulted in less than optimal positioning that allowed Scam to fight back. Frustrated with how I let the game slip away, I overextended on offense, and the following round crumbled under Scam's pressure and lost the set 2-1. I really wanted to win as proof of my improved caliber to myself and my team, and not being able to seal the deal really hurt. Fortunately, everyone else on the team was able to win their sets, so it was still an overall team victory. Next up was Team Yuno, which featured a matchup against Zeta Slow and Akatsuki that was a last-minute substitute. Luckily, I had some practice against the character because he was already in my group, so there was still some level of confidence in my ability to win. The first game went in my favor with admittedly sloppy play on my end. However, Zeta played very excellent neutral and charged up the strike throw offense to answer in game 2 and make the score 1-1. The final game was very back and forth, but I got some fortunate drops that saved me from certain death, and I made it out victorious for my first win of the day. The rest of Team Rockhawk followed suit to grab another W to match the amount in our team's name at 2. However, despite the win, I did not feel good about how I was playing. But I need to figure it out quickly because Lennox was waiting for me in the next round as part of Team 3K. He was one of the strongest players in my tier up to this point, and throughout the event I expected that he would be a very formidable opponent. I had run a long set against his Laundrakia a few days prior, and it was honestly very close. I figured out some things to do in the matchup, especially in neutral, where I needed to frustrate him from afar and avoid playing the mid-range game. The preliminary plan worked initially, but as soon as Lennox found a way in, I was chum succumbing to his oppressive offense. With how I'd been playing, I had zero faith that I could block against this pressure, which caused me to flail any chance I could to find a way out ASAP. Consequently, I was getting hit by anything and everything as I lost game 1. My frustration was really beginning to boil over, and it especially got bad once Lennox was able to mount a comeback on the brink of losing game 2. I was up around looking to close it out, but before I knew it, I was already in the corner in round 3 trying to swing my way out any way I could. My punishment was a perfect by Lond, which meant another hard loss in the set. I was hot as fish grease with how sloppy and undisciplined I was playing, especially since it cascaded into the team taking its first set loss of the day. If I had just just won my set, we would have at least gone to a tiebreaker, and we needed every win possible to get that bye. So many thoughts began to creep into my conscious about how bad I was playing and how I was letting everyone down. My mental was taking a nosedive off a C cliff headed into the next set against Team Tama. Seabats on Phonon was my draw, and this was a matchup I'd already played twice in the group stages, with me being victorious both times. However, with the way that I was playing, I had a sinking feeling that Seabats' adjustments with Tama's coaching since those sets could get the better of me this time around. The self-fulfilling prophecy, of course, came to fruition as I did indeed drop the set. My lack of confidence especially showed when I was hesitant in my offense, which allowed Seabats to jump out and J236C to steal his turn. The same could be said when I became frantic in neutral and either ran into every 3C or jumped into the high-speed rotor blades of Phonon's force function. No sugarcoating it, it was a genuine disaster class, and I was at such a low point. I was berating and beating myself up like the worst critic I could possibly be to myself. However, my team was once again able to pick up my slack and get an overall win to get us to 3-1 on the day. By the time we had our final set of the day against Team Silent, I had already made up my mind that I was practically dead weight to the team. As you would expect, my set against Mr. Mixtapes Nanase was a somber sea shanties verse that was the same as the first. The second, the third, you get the idea. Dropped combos, blown leads, impatient defense, all of the day's hits coming together, soundtracking another crushing loss to end a 1-4 campaign on the day. Somehow, someway, the rest of my team found a way to overcome it and win the set yet again to flip my individual record of 1-4 to a team record of 4-1. So after the seeding stage concluded, we looked atop the standings and saw our team at number 1, which meant we had secured the bye for tomorrow. My team was so happy, and I was incredibly proud of how they played that day. However, in no way did I feel like I did anything to help the cause. Zero Syndicate went undefeated on the day in his Tier 4 matchups. Made in Heaven won most of his matches in Tier 2 to keep us in position to win after my losses. Hunter had multiple unbelievably clutch tiebreaker wins in Tier 1 to secure those sets for us. And then there was just me, the guy being dragged along for the ride. As my team celebrated, all I could do was be remorseful and apologetic for not being good enough for them and making the day harder than it should have been. Bless their hearts as they all tried to reassure me that it was fine and nothing was my fault, but there wasn't anything anyone could tell me at this point to not make me feel like a failure. Rock, Hawk, and Hunter told me to take the night off instead of trying to work through the day's shortcomings. They believed that I should just focus on coming back the next day in a better state of mind. I heeded their advice and logged off for the night, disappointed that despite all the work I'd done for the last few weeks, I still might not be good enough. I did everything in my power to not look at anything for the game and just prioritized resetting my mental state, which was incredibly difficult. Sleep was hard to come by that night as I spent too much time replaying matches in my mind, lamenting what I could and should have done to win. The next morning, I could still feel the lingering effects of the seeding stage setbacks, so I decided to just put on headphones and go for a walk outside to try and shake things off. In moments like this, a little Stevie Wonder tends to do me some good, so I shuffled up and down the block with songs in the key of life working to pump some life back into my own spirit. Slowly but surely enough, I felt restoration taking place and myself getting back to normal. I mean, I really didn't have a choice. Today was finals day and I had to fix myself or else it'd be too late. 1 hour before finals started, I opened Twitter and wrote affirmatively, "Today's the day, today's a new day, today's my day. Let's fucking do it." I didn't have extensive adjustments to make based on the bit of VOD review I did. My underlying conclusion was that I just lost to myself more than anyone else, and any adjustments I would make had to revolve around that. So the mission was simple. Commit to confidence. This meant trusting my ability to defend, not feeling rushed to overextend on offense or in neutral, and to simply breathe and watch the screen. I needed to just trust in my ability and all my work that I'd put in up to this point. While we were warming up for the day, my teammates and coach also reiterated their belief in me despite yesterday. With some newfound fire in my gut, it was time to make finals day into my day. As I mentioned, our team earned a bye from placing first in the seeding stage, so we were already sitting in winners round 2. We waited for the winner of Team Yuno and Team Ryojin, which ended up being the former. This actually ended up being a stroke of luck for us because we viewed this as a more favorable matchup for pretty much the whole team. And we just beaten them yesterday, so we definitely felt we could do it again. Zeta Slow's Akatsuki stared me down for the second time in as many days, and I began the new day's campaign. I dropped the first round of game 1, but still remembered my commitment to confidence and shrugged it off. The steadier resolve bore fruit as I corrected course with a mindfulness I would not have had yesterday. Look no further than the end of the very next round for evidence. I had a funky starter on a counter hit 214B, but I had the presence of mind to adjust mid-route, accounting for the number of bounces I had left to utilize in the combo. I was able to end my route in a hard knockdown and position myself to continue offense by landing a spaced meaty 2B. All this still allowed for a bubble setup where I didn't overextend, resulting in me baiting my opponent's reversal attempt and punishing accordingly to secure the round. And then I opened round 3 with probably the best anti-air 3C I'll ever do. Even my coach was heavily impressed by it. I parlayed these good plays into a game 1 victory, and I could already feel that today was indeed a new day for me. Game 2 was a strong continuation of how I ended the one prior, and I blitzed through the ABK guest to get a W on the board. With Zero and Heaven taking their sets as well, we didn't even need 100 to play for us to advance into winter semis with a commanding 3-0 victory to start finals day. I remember saying in the voice chat that a shooter just has to see the first shot go in to get going, and maybe that was the splash that would start a vintage Steph Curry type of performance. That heat check though would come quickly in the form of a rematch against Lennox, as Team 3K was our next opponent. This matchup was rather unexpected because it meant that they had upset Team Ori, who had a bye from winning the group stage. We'd also secretly wanted to fight Ori's team more, as we'd done historically better against them than Team 3K. You play whoever's in front of you, however, so it was time to face Londrakia once again. As yesterday's set against Lennox was the downturn of my mental state, this was going to be a true test of my commitment to confidence. This rang true right out of the gate, with Lemony Snicket scripting an unfortunate series of events to open round 1. A couple of good hits by Lennox pushed me into the corner early, and the Iceman put me into the same position that had me in hot water before. However, this time I remained cool and trusted myself to defend the situation, which is exactly what I did. A well-timed reversal after blocking a series of Rekka gave me a shot at massive damage after blocking Lennox's DP, and I was able to take round 1. In the next round, Lennox got off on the good foot yet again, with both of his feet skating across the screen and ushering me into the same East Coast corner with early advantage. The same steel resolve showed for me, however, as I was able to find a slight opening to get started after a small scramble following a drop. Like Ahab, if he finally found his white whale, I grasped firmly onto the momentum and didn't dare let go. Momentum, thy name is Moby Dick, and for game 1, mine was Victor. Much like in the first game, there were times to open game 2 where my defense was tested, but I did not falter under pressure. I was steadfast in remaining steady, and it paid off with yet another round win after overcoming some adversity. From there, the second round felt like a total reversal from yesterday. My team and I could sense an apparent uneasiness in neutral from my opponent that I possessed in the set prior, even when he had meter to throw out EX Fireball like he had been doing. As I watched him wade back and forth, I pounced like a piranha, chomping at the bit to right the wrongs of yesterday. I did exactly that and got my much wanted run back in a 2-0 victory. With everything that had happened yesterday, this was such a source of relief and vindication, and I was as amped as an electric eel near an Energizer. Zero and Hunter came through once again in their sets, so we advanced to winners finals with only one set standing between us and grand finals at Combo Breaker. The team trying to deny us our spot was none other than Team Tama and Seabats once again. I've said it multiple times, Seabats was always one of the players in my tier that I had circled as the one to beat, and now this was going to be our 4th time playing. He got the better of me the day before, but I had to keep in mind I still had the head-to-head over him for a reason. My whole approach here was to not run into things and make Phonon force the issue while I sit back and gain resources patiently. After all, my coach Rockhawk gave great advice in saying that you should never try to do too much against zoners in this game. And the first 2 key interactions of the set were precisely that: biding my time, slowly creeping towards her with resources in tow, and smacking her for trying to run up on me. From these hits, I was able to set up my offense and expose Phonon's flaws defensively. I followed the plan in game 1 to perfection and was feeling fantastic. Even in the following game, when I'd lose an interaction, I had built up resources to get back in there with my trusty 2-2C. Playing the patient field position battle in neutral and then bulldozing on offense resulted in a very convincing 2-0. If I wasn't already feeling myself, I certainly was now, as I popped off so hard that my mic didn't even pick it up on the call. With Zero getting a bye due to Tama's tier 4 not being present, our team was up 2 whole sets and just needed to win 1 more to get to grands. Unfortunately, Made in Heaven was matched into Prodigy, who was a Mika player that was one of the strongest tier 2 players all of it long, and he dropped that set. It was then up to Hunter in tier 1 to beat Gary Butternubs on Hyde to win it all. It was incredibly close, but Gary had clutched up in the final round and forced the teams at a 2-2 set count to go into a tiebreaker to decide who would advance to grand finals. The way tiebreakers worked in Grid Break is that both teams would veto a certain tier matchup, and then the remaining options would be chosen at random to play a 1st to 3 set. The winner of that set would claim the tiebreaker, and their team would take the overall set. For this instance, Tama unfortunately had to veto tier 4 because his player wasn't available, and we opted to veto tier 2 because we didn't like that matchup. This meant that it was either going to be Hunter at tier 1 or me at tier 3 replaying our matchups in order to advance. As we waited for the random draw, if you can imagine it, my teammates were all hoping that it would land on me. They wholeheartedly trusted me with the team's fate in my hands in such a high pressure scenario. Even with the horrible day that I had just had before, and even when I didn't believe in myself, they believed in me. This meant the fucking world to me, and I wanted so badly to prove them right. I wanted the pressure, I wanted the challenge, I wanted the opportunity to win it for us. I wanted all of it. All right, let's do it.
Here's the spin.
I want it.
Here we go.
I want it.
Give it to Zoma.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Give
I
it to
want it.
Zoma.
I want it so bad.
Let's go. Tier 3.
Tier 3.
Tier 3. Oh, motherfucker. Oh, motherfucker. Oh,
Wait.
motherfucker. Let's go.
Wait.
Let's go.
We drew the tier 3 matchup, which meant it was me against Seabats once again, with grand finals on the line. I felt like Goku with the spirit bomb. I could feel the energy of everyone on my team having their faith in me, the energy of everyone who's been cheering me on and supporting me during this event. With everyone in my corner, my faith was at an all-time high. I also got the home field advantage with the aquarium. The stage was set for absolute fin-ema. The stars were aligning and the constellation was Pisces. It was indeed time to make it my day. With game 1, Seabats had already adjusted his approach and was consciously not interacting with me in mid-range this time. He was doing a lot more up back fireball and 3C without shifting to running at me unnecessarily. My game plan still remained the same, and I just slowly encroached on Fonon's space to push her towards the corner. Though I made some initial mistakes, the slow and steady position battle allowed me to take first game once I was able to get in at the right time. It was here that I knew I'd be overwhelmingly dominant on offense, so I just needed to get there in order to win these games. In game 2, however, Seabats was determined to not make that easy. His adjustments really took hold, and I became a bit too impatient on defense in key moments. Coach was in my ear letting me know to just relax and not be forcing the issue so much. I was getting caught up in the heat of the moment because despite setbacks, I still had a chance at the end to steal a round, but I messed up a setup from getting overwhelmed. The score was then tied up at 1 game apiece, but I was not fazed in the slightest. I even said to my team that it wouldn't be fun if it was easy. Game 3 saw a strong opening after I immediately claimed the corner and utilized Izumi's crushing offense to run rampant in round 1. The second round was much tougher after Seabats began to fight back with a steady diet of stable offense and space control. Very fortunately, I chose the right time to gamble with an assault JC during a pressure reset from Fonon. I got the hit and was able to go up 2-1, needing only one more game to take my team to grand finals. Game 4 was much like the previous ones, with the early advantage leading to a quick Izumi round, and round 2 looked to be much of the same, with me coming out to another strong lead. However, Seabats took advantage of a key drop on a bubble setup and fought back. I was overextending and trying too hard to halt his momentum, which resulted in me doing what lost me the set against him in the seeding stage. I found myself running into things, and it added up to Fonon wrangling the round and staying in the game. However, I refused to let this affect me. I stuck to the plan in the final round of game 4 and pushed Fonon to the corner once again. Seabats got himself some breathing room from the Nautical Nation suffocation by teching a throw. However, the ever-reliable Elifie in the form of 2-2C sniped Fonon out of her own down-down special. Fonon was put back into the situation, and a couple of doses of H2Oki later,
Yo, let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Let's fucking go!
That's what we're talking about!
Let's go!
We are the
Congratulations!
Oh my fucking god!
whew, I mean, Great Barrier Reef that weekend was one hell of a ride. From the lowest lows to the highest highs, Grid Break Finals really had everything. It was one hell of an experience, but it's one that has taught me so much. First off, it cannot be overstated how much belief is everything. My commitment to confidence was seriously the difference from a 1-4 run one day to going undefeated and coming through when it mattered most the next. I wouldn't have had that confidence, however, if not for my team. When I was down and out, their support in me never wavered, and it truly meant a lot that they still had that much faith in me to pull through at the end. It's that belief that will inspire you to be at your best and never give up in the face of adversity, and it's that belief that will take you to new heights you previously thought unimaginable. I seriously cannot thank my teammates and coach enough for being in my corner through the thick and thin of it all, as well as being awesome in their own performances throughout the entire event. I've also come to truly realize just how much a community can largely affect your experience in a game. Grid Break was a premium onboarding experience unlike anything I've ever encountered in fighting games. Most everybody was incredibly supportive and kind, to the point where I was weirded out by it when I first joined in. From my own teammates to players on other teams to even people watching from the outside wanting to help, I could feel the love throughout this entire event, and it was truly awesome. I've seen and been on the receiving end of what happens when people are not as hospitable, and it does negatively impact a person's time in a scene. Grid Break was very refreshing in that aspect, so I want to carry that standard forward when I get the chance to have an impact on new players wanting to jump in somewhere. So shout out to Yoast and the Grid Break crew for fostering this amazing environment. Finally, I can confirm that hard work truly does pay off. This had to have been the most I've ever grinded for a fighting game, and probably the most I've grinded for anything since studying for my CPA exams. The process was very challenging, especially undertaking a tier 3 placement when I was starting from square one. However, I made sure that I would at least give myself the best chance to succeed and overcome that challenge by putting in as much effort as I could. Getting the opportunity to be in Grid Break in the first place was a blessing, and I wanted to truly maximize the opportunity to its fullest. I also worked hard for my team and the people who have been supporting me throughout this whole endeavor to show them that it was not going to waste. Whatever your motivation is for a challenge you're undertaking, I want you to look at what I've accomplished since starting in this event and let it inspire you to keep moving forward and keep working hard. I went from a newbie dropping every combo imaginable to getting 7th at Paragon in just a few weeks, so I can speak on it. It's going to get tough, trust me. Anything worthwhile will have its hardships and will test you. No matter how rough the current is though, you just need to keep swimming. Thanks a gillion for watching. All of your support during these weeks of Grid Break have been unfathomable. So many new people have found their way to this channel since, and I appreciate all y'all's eyes and ears being here. Next up for Grid Break is going to be Grand Finals at Combo Breaker happening near the end of May, so keep your eyes peeled for more information on that. As far as what's happening here on the channel, I'll have more fighting game videos and music going up, so make sure to like, share, and subscribe to help make it all happen. As of the time I'm filming this, we are less than 50 subs away from 1,000, so please help make that milestone happen. It would go a long way in getting this channel to monetization status, which would be a huge boost in being able to keep the show rolling and getting to a point where I can do things like this that I'm passionate about full time. But for now, that'll do it for this video. I have been Zamir Zoma Stills, and I will see you in the next video and in Grand Finals. Take it easy, y'all.